Hello, sweet tooths. One of the desserts that always wins are those with cream, and today I'm going to show you 3 fantastic cream dessert options. Starting with this one that has a lemon cream, very easy to make and with an amazing result. The first thing I'll do is add a cup of condensed milk, about 200 milliliters, into a large saucepan. And on top of it, I'm going to grate the zest of 2 lemons, but if you really like it, you can add more. Just like with the lemon juice, 2 or 3 will be enough. Do you like a really strong lemon flavor? Add more, we're here to enjoy ourselves. Once we've squeezed the lemon juice, we add it to the pot, in it goes. Do it through a strainer to remove the pulp. Now it's time to mix really well, so give it a few stirs until you have a uniform texture. There I have it. Come on, more things. In this case, 2 large eggs, the L-size ones. We're also going to mix and incorporate them quickly, giving a few simple stirs. And once the cream is blended, we add yogurt, in this case, 5 yogurts, 625 grams. Here's a trick, if you cut the back of the container a little, the yogurt comes out whole easily. And then mix very well, as simple as stirring it once more. Right away, you'll have a cream like the one you see here. We'll add cornstarch, starch, or corn flour, 2 heaping tablespoons, about 40 grams. And we'll do the same. We'll stir this until everything is well mixed. We don't want to see any lumps, we don't want to see different colors, and it should be a completely liquid texture. Then we go to the stove, we're gonna put it on medium-high heat, and we're gonna stir while the cream thickens. In this case, at first you don't notice much, but don't worry, it will heat up quickly and the cream forms quickly. So I recommend switching to a pastry spatula, also called a scraper or a flexible spatula like this one, so you can get along the sides and the bottom. Here, as soon as the mixture heats up, it thickens very quickly, so pay attention. Look, now this is already starting to get hot, see? It's already creamy. A few more stirs, and in just another minute, you'll notice that it becomes completely creamy if you let it slide. It even seems like it has a hard time falling off the tongue or the spoon, so we take it off the heat. Cream is ready. Here I have a mold lined with plastic wrap or acetate. It's 20 by 20 centimeters, and I'm going to cover it with cookies. You can use whichever cookies you prefer, and if you dip them in milk, even better. It's optional, because the cream will already give it that touch of moisture, but I like to do this so they're even softer. We cover the whole base and put about half of the cream here. In there where we can see it, what will we do? Put about half of the cream and spread it out so that it forms a more or less even layer. Make sure it covers all the corners and that we have about the same amount everywhere. Then we cover it with a second layer of cookies. Just like before, I'm moistening them, so we place each cookie one by one until the whole surface is covered. Easy, just like we did before. That's how I have it. Hey, what's left? Do you already know? The rest of the cream, the other 50%, we put it here and we'll almost have the cake ready. A quick and simple dessert, as you can see, it's not complicated at all. Here we go, perfect. Let's spread it well. Remember to reach all the corners so there are no holes left, and then we put the last layer on top to cover it. There it is, cookie after cookie. An important detail is that when you place them, press down a little so they're well stuck into the cream, they don't move, and you don't get any holes. That's how easily we've made this wonder. We let it jiggle a little and then put it in the fridge or refrigerator to chill. At least 2 hours. But hey, if you leave it overnight, even better. The flavors will blend more and the texture will be perfect. So do it however you want. I do it overnight. And besides, on the internet, time flies, and here we have it. A wonderful dish, very easy to make, that I'm about to unmold and decorate so you can see how it looks on the table. A fantasy. We remove the edge, the plastic wrap, and here I have this wonder. Look at the cut, the side, how nice it is to decorate. You can do it however you want. For example, caramel goes great with it, but I can't resist sprinkling it. On top, plenty of powdered sugar, a bit of lemon zest, so that when you bring it close to your mouth, you get more of that fresh aroma. We decorate with a bit more lemon peel. And at the same time, look how good it looks. Don't tell me you don't feel like taking a bite. Besides, we made it really easily and without an oven. You have no excuse. Today it's time to make a delicious dessert, and look how good it looks. Oh my, don't tell me you don't feel like enjoying dessert time. And I can already smell the fresh aroma of the lemon zest. How delicious. Look at how amazing it looks. Creamy, easy, it has it all. But don't go yet, because if you like creamy desserts, there's an incredible white chocolate cream that goes in this amazing cake. Let's get straight to the recipe. The first thing I do is put 100 grams of butter, or 1 cup, in the microwave to heat it up. You could also do it with a saucepan on the stove, no problem. The only goal is to make sure it's melted. On the other hand, we take 200 grams of cookies, whichever you like. I use these long ones, toast type, and what we're going to do is turn them into powder. For that, I use this food processor, but you could just put them in a bag and with a rolling pin, or crush them well with a bottle. Once you have the cookie crumbs, you put them in a bowl. Oh, everything goes in. And we're gonna add that melted butter we prepared earlier. There it is. Look, completely liquid. Perfect. Now we're going to stir it a few times until we get a uniform texture that will look a lot like wet sand. So, like I said, keep stirring and stirring until we have a uniform texture and color throughout the whole mixture. Once you have it, let's move on to the mold. In my case, it's 18 centimeters in diameter. And as you can see, I have parchment paper on the bottom and acetate or plastic on the sides to make it easier to remove from the mold. Although it's completely optional, I put all the cookie mixture on the bottom and then with the help of a glass, press it down really well, making sure it's a flat and even layer. With these amounts, you get a thick cookie base. If you prefer the typical thin cookie base, you can use less. Well, pretty much with half the amount. That would be enough, and now let's move on to the filling. The first thing will be to chop the white chocolate very well. Even if you bought it in small circles, the finer you chop it, the better. Then, place it in a large bowl. And while I do this, let me remind you that if you like this dessert, give me a like. It always helps a little. And also subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest news. On the other hand, we take the same amount, another 150 grams, in this case, 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, whipping cream, or cream for whipping. And we heat it up in the microwave as well, or in a saucepan until it's very hot, but without boiling, and then we pour it over the chocolate. The same amount as the chocolate, 150 grams of each, 3/4 of a cup in the case of the liquid, and 3/4 of a bar in the case of the chocolate. We mix very well, and little by little, the chocolate will melt until it becomes this fantastic liquid. Then we take 400 grams of cream cheese and beat it very well. It's about 2 or 3 cups of cream cheese, and we're gonna beat it until it's creamy. Right at that moment, you add the sugar and mix it again until it's perfectly combined. We're just gonna add a little bit because white chocolate is already sweet. 50 grams or about 1/3 of a cup will be enough. Finally, we add the white chocolate cream and mix the whole mixture together. This way, we combine both preparations into one, and everything is mixed into a uniform liquid that we can blend very well, so that it thickens a bit and has more of that texture. And now our dessert is practically ready. Of course, we take this cream. Look how fantastic it looks. And we fill the 18 centimeter mold that we had with the cookie base with this cream. And that's how you get a cake, pie, tart, cheesecake, or whatever you want to call it. Fantastic. You have to keep it in the fridge or refrigerator, but if you want to take it to the next level, you can add a topping. And look at this other little cake I have here from another day. What a wonderful fridge I have today. Well, changing the subject, let's go for the white chocolate cream, and it's going to be just like before. 150 grams, or 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream, whipping cream or double cream. There it is. We heat it very well in the microwave or in a saucepan, but without letting it come to a boil. And the same amount of chopped white chocolate, 150 grams or 3/4 of a bar. We pour that fantastic warm liquid over the finely chopped chocolate, and the heat will make it melt. So keep stirring until you have a smooth liquid with that color that only white chocolate can give. Let me remind you that the cake needs to be in the fridge for at least 4 hours. And then you can take it out and pour this sauce we just made on top. So let's go over there. We take it and remove the mold. Look, you have this plastic wrap, which is fantastic, and if it doesn't stick to you like it did to me, even better. Let's see what problem I'm having. Look, the paper underneath got a bit caught with the mold, but out here, with your fingers, it's solved. And those little problems happen to all of us sometimes. If you want the finish to be more perfect, you can run a pastry scraper or spatula along the edge to make sure it comes out smooth. It will always move a little because it's a super creamy cake. And then we pour this fantastic cream on top. If you don't want to cover it with this white chocolate sauce, no problem. You can use some kind of syrup, jam, or caramel instead. And it's always finger-licking good. After letting it cool a bit more, you'll have a wonder like the one you see here. And now I'm going to show you. The most important thing is that just like with people, it's what's inside that counts. And look at how amazing it looks. Doesn't it make you want to take a bite? Doesn't it make you want to dig in? Well, even more. What do you think you'll want with this last one? It's a dessert with an ultra easy caramel cream that gives an incredible result. The first thing we're gonna do is heat up 60 grams, which is about 1/3 of a cup of butter in the microwave or in a double boiler. The goal is to heat it enough so that it becomes liquid, as you can see here. On the other hand, what I'm gonna do now is take some cookies. Like I said, I'm gonna use Maria type cookies, but you can use whichever ones you want. The point is that they should be ones that crumble really well. I'm going to turn them into powder in a food processor, but you can use a blender or crush them really well with a rolling pin. The only goal is to get them turned into powder like this. Transfer them to a larger bowl and remove the blade if it falls out like it did for me. And you're going to add the butter here that we blended earlier after heating it up. It's as simple as that. You're going to stir it over and over, and you'll get a kind of dough or thick crumbs. To these, we'll add milk, about 2 tablespoons, but if you need more, that's no problem. The point is to make a kind of cookie dough, which you'll place in the mold you're going to use. In my case, it's a round one, 18 centimeters in diameter. You put this mixture on the bottom, and using the bottom of a glass, press it down until it's compact and even. Then you set it aside in the fridge or refrigerator while we prepare the filling. For the filling, the first thing will be to put half a cup of cold water in a glass. And there we add a tablespoon of neutral gelatin or grenadine, which is about 10 grams. If you use sheets, then you would need 6 or 7. Well now, in a large bowl, while the gelatin is solidifying, we put 300 grams of cream cheese, or about 1.5 cups, along with a splash of vanilla essence, extract, or flavoring. Also, 3 heaping tablespoons of powdered sugar, about 45 to 50 grams. We're going to put everything in here and then 150 milliliters, or 3/4 of a cup of cream or milk. Also called in some places whipping cream or chantilly or heavy white cream or double cream. And I don't know how many more names. The important thing is that everything is really cold and we beat it a little until it turns into a kind of thick cream. After a few minutes, you'll see that the gelatin starts to solidify a bit, so we take it to heat it up, either in a double boiler or in the microwave, like I do, just enough until it becomes completely liquid. Look, after a few seconds in the microwave, it turns completely into a liquid. Let it rest for 5 or 10 seconds. And then mix it with the cream, but make sure to keep whisking so it spreads quickly. Mix it really well so the cream is completely smooth, and now your filling cream is ready. So give it a few stirs, also using a spatula or a wooden spoon so you can get around the edges. You also need a bit of willpower not to eat this cream by the spoonful already, because honestly, that's what you usually feel like doing first. Another great option is to add a bit of cookie crumbs to this cream. It doesn't look as nice, but it also tastes really good. What I'll do now is take the mold where we have the base of our cake or pie and place it on a flat surface to work easily. And pour the cream inside. If you look at the mold, I have acetate or plastic sheets on the sides. It doesn't have much of a function, just an aesthetic one, so that when you unmold it later, it comes out flatter and smoother. So if you want, you can buy it at any stationery store. You cut it, make strips, and place it on your desserts. Don't worry, it's inexpensive and can be washed and reused. You release the cream as you've seen, smooth it out, and put it in the fridge. Once again, the gelatin turns out perfect. They say from the 4th hour on, so you can make it a day ahead, or at least let it sit for 4 hours. To decorate, I'm going to make a cream with half a packet of crushed Maria cookies, just like before, so they're powdered. Then we add half a cup of evaporated milk, depending on the type of cookie. You could also add some sweetener if you want it sweeter. And you're going to keep mixing and mixing until you get a completely smooth cream. If it turns out too thick, you can add more liquid to make it creamier, because we're looking for it to be somewhat liquid. And while I keep talking and talking, I forgot to tell you that it was time for that. Unmold this wonder we had in the freezer, so let's go ahead and remove all the little papers. Then we take a spatula and move this wonderful cake we have like this, directly to the plate where you want to present or enjoy it. This little round one here, we place it and decorate it with that fantastic cream we had prepared. Look how it falls, isn't that delicious? It gives a great contrast to the cream cheese and will combine perfectly in your mouth with the base made from the same cookies. Use the back of a spoon to spread the cream toward the edge and also let a few drops fall down the sides, which looks nice. What an amazing cake, we've prepared it in just a moment. You can also decorate it with more cookies, grated chocolate, or whatever you like. Look, it also looks great with a bit of fruit. I'm adding peach, but like I said, you can add whatever you want, what comes to your mind. Tell me down below in the comments, and that way we can all get ideas together. Also, a little volume on top always makes things look more eye-catching. So I'm gonna put half a cookie here and half on the other side. That way it's clear that this dessert is made with cookies. Like Maria, how wonderful. And now, the most important thing, which is the same for desserts and for people. The inside and the inside of this dessert. It's an absolute delight, so here, let me show you. Look. And look again, how beautiful, how delicious, how easy to make, and how refreshing. Look at the slice, look at the slice, look at the slice. Just thinking about enjoying it is addictive. And these desserts are always tempting. I don't know which one has been your favorite. Whether it's this last one with caramel, the one with white chocolate cream, or the first one we made with lemon cream. I like all three. I hope you'll tell me in the comments which one has been your favorite. And if you want to keep enjoying, you can click the little box that appears here.